Good evening. I would like to call to order the City of West Bend Common Council meeting for October 4th at 6:30 p.m. I note that we do have a quorum with Alderman Bergquist absent and excused. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I'll note that we have 18 items on this agenda, the first being approval of the minutes, the Common Council regular meeting minutes for September 20th.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. I'll give that Model and Kaler. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. And we'll go down to presentations, and we're just going to take up number 1 and 2. So I'm going to start off with number 1, the 2021 Fire Prevention Week proclamation. If we could have a motion to accept this.
Motion to accept.
Thank you, Alan and Keeler. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And this proclamation so reads, whereas in 1922, President Calvin Coolidge proclaimed the week of October 9th as Fire Prevention Week in commemoration of the Great Chicago and Peshtigo Fire, which began on October 8th, 1871. And whereas City of West Bend first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. The 2021 Fire Prevention Week theme, Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety, effectively serves to remind that it is important to learn the different sounds of smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. Whereas home fires killed more than 2,770 people in the United States in 2019, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 339,500 home fires. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sounds of alarms and knows how to respond. Now, therefore, I, Christoph E. Jenkins, Mayor of the great city of West Bend, do hereby proclaim October 3rd through 9th, 2021 as Fire Prevention Week throughout this community. I urge all the people in the city of West Bend to practice fire safety and to participate in the public safety activities of the city of West Bend Fire Rescue Services during Fire Prevention Week this year. And with that, as a great segue, we would like to present the Fire Department Citizen Appreciation Awards. And we'll have a presentation by the Chief. Welcome, welcome.
Good evening. Deputy Chief Beistel is going to read the scenarios and the name of the person receiving the award, and then if they want to come on up and receive the award with the mayor.
Our first citizen award is going to be for Tammy M. Jansen Mullen. So if you can come forward, please. On July 6th at 11:20 in the morning, Tammy was outside. She saw smoke and investigated where the smoke was coming from. Upon her investigation, she saw a dumpster that was on fire and impinging on a car that was in very close proximity of the dumpster. Just behind the car was a 8-unit condo building that, if the wind were to switch, would have also been in jeopardy at that time. She notified all residents in the condos and was able to find the owner of the vehicle. They moved the vehicle in time that there was only minor damage to that vehicle. So with her willingness to get involved, she saved additional lives and property that day. Thank you, Tammy. Our next presentation is going to be for Jeff Dreyer. According to reports from personnel on the scene for the fire at 3149 Norman Drive in the town of Barton, Jeff Dreyer made a rescue of an occupant who was trapped inside the home that exploded and was on fire. Mr. Dreyer is a neighbor and heard the explosion. The son of the homeowner was able to self-extricate. The son advised Mr. Dreyer that the homeowner was trapped inside the burning building. Without any due regard and bare feet, Mr. Dreyer then was able to assist the homeowner, who was badly burned and blinded by the explosion, out of the burning building to safety. So thank you very much for your actions that day.
That's what, yeah, that's what I understand. We did have one other call. They were unable to attend tonight, but that was on June 25th at 12:49. It was at Pick and Save South. While en route, our ambulance was advised that bystander CPR was in progress and one shock was delivered. 3 employees from Pick and Save got involved and doing CPR, getting the AED, and with their efforts, we were able to save that patient. So we're gonna recognize them tonight and thank them for their willingness to get involved. So.
Well, congratulations to all those. It's always exciting and humbling to hear those stories. I mean, that one gentleman ran into a burning building, like without shoes. That's crazy. So really, thank you so much and congratulations for helping out your fellow man in our city. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to recess the Common Council to Public Works.
I would like to call to order the Board of Public Works. We have 5 items on the agenda. Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the meeting September 20th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Any questions or additions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, cancel contract 21-04, sidewalk installation repairs. Good evening, Max.
Good evening, thank you. This item is a request to cancel the contract 2104, which was awarded to Ford Equipment on May 17 of this year. The final completion date on the contract was September 30th. I have attached a letter from the contractor requesting an extension of the contract to mid-November. He has not started on any of the work yet, but based on the description he gives on in his letter of the means that he has this year to do the work that he's contracted to do, we don't believe that it would be a good idea to continue this and try to get this construction done. Going into the cold weather and everything. So we would prefer to cancel this contract and then rebid this work along with the work program for next year in next year's sidewalk contract.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions for Max?
Yeah.
Alderman Model.
Max, was this a new contractor we were working for the first time this year?
Yes, this was a new contractor. We checked into the references that they gave us. We had 3 references, I believe, and obviously they were all positive. The contractor explained that he lost several employees, and then he could not get his full staff this year, and that was part of his issues. I don't know what else to say. We haven't worked with them before.
That's fine, yeah.
So
I was just curious. Okay. Same problems everybody's having, I guess.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Another question, Alderman Dowling.
The issue of the bond, and I had asked you,
yes.
why are we releasing the bond? You had indicated that was Ian's suggestion. Is that because if they demand due process, the legal gets to be too expensive for it?
Combination of a couple of things. The amount that the sidewalk contract's likely to go up is fairly minor. This isn't like somebody walked off a street job that was half done that we have to hurry up and get somebody in on. Secondly, my guess is they would allege that it's, some type of force majeure language, COVID, and we couldn't get staffing because of COVID and everything else. So it's likely it would go into litigation, and the amount we would gain from the bond isn't likely to warrant those legal proceedings.
Okay.
So
thanks.
All right, are there any other questions? All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Max. Item number 3, award contract 21-13, Regner Park Beach House remodeling and additions. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening. Excuse me 1 second. All right. This evening we are requesting permission to award the remodeling of the Regner Park Beach House. The contract was bid as a base bid with alternates. The base bid included demolition of selected portions of the existing building, basically the back of the building, and on the north and south ends of the existing building we have those changing rooms that never get used. Those rooms would also be demoed as part of this. Up on the screen here you can kind of see the center section of the building. This is the new design, the center section, the darker area. That would be the base bid area, the lobby, lifeguard room, indoor restrooms. We would actually have a kitchen finally in the beach house. Right now we use a store room as a kitchen. We have a pizza oven in it, so we call it a kitchen, a pizza oven and a microwave. We would actually have a decent kitchen here where we could sell concessions. Also on the south end of the building with the base bid, we would have an open air pavilion. And on the north end, kind of the green section there, we would have 2 family changing rooms as part of the base bid, but the green area, we would have that roughed in. Those would be future restrooms if funding becomes available in the future. So with the base bid, like those restrooms, things like that, the outside exterior walls would be done, the plumbing would be stubbed in, things like that, but just not finished off. So that would be the base bid. Alternate number 1 would be the construction of the exterior shell of the multi-purpose room. If you look on our drawing here out in front of us tonight, on the back side of the building in the yellow, I'll call it, would be the multi-purpose room. That alternate would be just roughing that in. It certainly would not be finished to the point of having rental facility or anything like that. Alternate 1A would be the completion of the multi-purpose room, so then we would have it open for parties and rentals and recreational activities. Alternate 2 would be the completion of the exterior restrooms, again that green area. Right now restrooms are only available in the beach house when the beach house is open. Those new restrooms in that green box would be open April 15th through October 15th like the rest of our restrooms. With the large playground over there and the different activities in that end of the property, those exterior restrooms would certainly get used. Alternate 3 would be the construction of the east patio, the red area. Alternate 4 would be the construction of the west patio, the, I'll say, blue area. And then alternate 5, if you look at the drawing to your right, you can see the, I believe it's a 40-stall parking lot. So alternate 5 would be a new driveway, new walkway down to the building and that parking lot, and an asphalt drive around the backside of the building. Because again, right now, we have that small parking lot in Regner Park. On this end down by the playground, that would be it. So the bids for this project were open on September 14th. Creative Constructors of LLC of Menominee Falls were low bid with the base bid and the majority of the alternates. We have not worked with Creative Constructors in the past. We contacted their references, which they all turned out fine. We also reviewed their capabilities with some of our own local contacts. We're checking references is always important, but we do have some local folks in the buildings and trades, and we contacted them and they gave us green light, thumbs up, nothing but positive accolades for this team. And we also reviewed some of their projects in the area that they have done. So we do feel confident. We do feel that we are confident that they can construct this project. And this evening we are recommend awarding the base bid and alternate 1 for a total of $1,268,954. This includes a 3% contingency and construction administration fees. This project would be expected to be completed by May 31st, 2021. Also up on the screen, I just put up there, we have the base bid information there, and then if you work through the spreadsheet, you can see the 3% contingency, construction admin. Cindy Lyons, our project manager, put this together so we could kind of see the financial impact, base bid or which one of the alternates we would like to choose from. Our staff feels it's important, obviously the base bid part of the project, but the alternate 1 addition, just the shell of the multi-purpose room, hopefully at some point in time finish a multi-purpose room. We can use that for some recreational activities. We can use it for facility rentals, hopefully generate some revenues in the future, things like that. And with this type of rental facility, we could use it 12 months a year. The indoor restrooms can facilitate it. It would be a nice feature to have down in Regner Park. The city has received pledges, donations, and grant awards and other funding in the amount of $915,000 from local businesses, corporations, foundations, and individual citizens to help support this project. We will continue to pursue additional donation and grant opportunities. This evening or later this evening, we will also be requesting a transfer of $300,000 of park impact fees to support the new amenities in the base bid and add alternate. So if you look at the park impact fees, not to get ahead of our schedule for this evening, but the impact fees, again, we can only use those on new amenities. So we cannot use the impact fees to renovate the beach house. We can't use it for the base bid, the lobby area, things like that. We can use it for the add alternate 1, the shell and multi-purpose room, the kitchen, the south patio, the open air patio on the south end. So some of those features we can use that impact fee, those impact fees for that. So at this point in time, we have the $915,000 in grants and donations and the $300,000, hopefully if council approves it later this evening, to go towards the construction of this project. So with that all being said, I'd be happy to take questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Any questions for Mike? Alderman Kaler.
Mike, if we're doing the math correctly here, base bid and the alternate were roughly $65,000 short. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I had a conversation with Jay a while back, and I'm just wondering, when we sold Mutual Mall, there was revenue from the sale of that building. Is it possible to get any of that towards this beach house project?
Yes, anything is possible. Those funds have not been expended at this time. They're secure, they're in our fund balance, and they're not reserved for anything else. So there's been a few projects. There have been, departments that are interested in accessing those funds for for certain items, I would recommend, and I shared this with Alderman Kaler when he asked me about it first, that anytime we look to spend these funds, they be spent on a capital improvement project. And I'll say such as the beach house, but we should certainly not expend these funds on annual operating where they would not be a reoccurring. They are one-time sale of an asset, and in my opinion should be replaced with an asset as well when they are decided to be used. I'm also confident, as Mike is, that we're still actively fundraising for the beach house, and I think there's a solid chance that we make up that gap through some other grant opportunities and active fundraising efforts that we're undergoing, but also understand that if we are short, or if there's the desire from the council to pursue additional alternates, that sale of mutual mall proceeds could be accessed for a project such as this.
And just to follow up, I don't mean we need to use all of that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was roughly $400,000. So at some point, I mean, we basically took away the Park and Recs Department's building. That's where they held activities. I would think it's only fair that at least some of that money get allocated back to Park and Recs. I mean, whether it's the 60 we're short or whatever, and the rest we can decide at some other point, but I don't know how we make that happen, or if that's something I can bring up now, or I don't know how that works.
I would say you can bring it up now. You did, and it's possible, but as far as action on it, it's not. That specifically isn't on the agenda. The awarding of the bid is.
We would have to bring that back as a separate action.
Correct.
At next meeting or whatever. So just wanted to make everybody aware that that is out there, and at some point, I think it would be only fair to allocate at least part of that to this project.
Okay, Alderman Dallin.
Yeah, as I understand it, we can go back and address any, or work with the contractor to address any additional alternates as a change order, correct?
We can. We did ask you, we did meet with the contractor face to face, again, because we haven't worked with them in the past. We asked them if they would hold their numbers after tonight's evening. They said they will not. They cannot guarantee them after this evening. So with the fluctuating market, just the construction market, cost of materials, things like that, I think one of the aspects would be like the parking lot. They bid on it now, and it's not going to be constructed until May of next year. That to hold those prices might be somewhat challenging. So we could go back to them, get new numbers for them to see where that, let's say the council says, let's finish the multi-purpose room. We could certainly talk to the contractor about something like that. But it will probably not reflect the numbers you see this evening.
Unless, of course, we were to award it
this evening. Right.
This evening.
Right. Because tomorrow we will be contacting him with hopefully what will be awarded.
All right, any other questions? Yep, Alderman Kaler.
Just want to clarify, we're only voting tonight on base bid and alternate one.
That is what we are asking for at this point in time. If the council feels.
And we're going to go forward with that, whether we're 60,000 short at this point in time or not.
That's what our hope is this evening, yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and if we don't reach that 65,000 or 68, it was 65,000 difference?
I believe it was 68,954.
Okay. All right. If we
and that's
don't
with the
reach
3% contingency and the admin fees and things like
okay.
that. Yep.
All right. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mike.
Can I just make one statement? I just want to say to Mike and his team, they have this thing 96% funded. I just did the calc on just that base bid and alt one. Just an awesome job on all the fundraising effort that I know that Cindy and everybody's put in, because it's been a huge project and awesome.
We certainly appreciate that. Jay Shambo has led the charge on the fundraising for this, and some local businesses and individuals have really taken the lead on that effort. But thank you very much.
Jay is literally putting people in headlocks.
I wasn't going to comment on that, Justice. But.
All right, we have item number 4, relocation order for 18th Avenue reconstruction, Paradise to vote, revision to December 7, 2020 and March 15, 2021, relocation orders. Good evening, Max.
Good evening again, thank you. So this item is to adopt a revision to the relocation orders that the board and council approved in the past. We had the original relocation order. We had the first revision because some of the right-of-way that we were going to acquire was not identified as existing easement. It was identified as existing right-of-way, so we had to fix that. This time we're coming back because mostly utilities that were outside of the right-of-way had not provided their easement documents. We could not find them, but we have found them now, and we know that they have easements, and we need to recognize that on the plat. So we need to issue this revision to the relocation order and adopt this new plat showing the easement for the gas company. So therefore, we're recommending that the board and council approve the relocation order, and this will not change or affect the design or the schedule or the negotiations for land acquisition on the project.
Motion to approve.
So,
Okay. Any questions for Max? There are none. All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Max. Item number 5, 18th Avenue, Paradise to Vote. Grant of temporary construction easement over existing municipal stormwater easement.
Thank you again. So this item is for the city to grant itself an easement over an existing easement. We have done this in the past with the previous 18th Avenue project. So basically in this case, we do have a storm water easement where we have pipes that cross between 18th Avenue and Vote Drive. And because the reconstruction of 18th Avenue will occupy part of the land where that easement is, the city technically has to give permission so that the contractor can do that. It seems overkill, but it's the process we have to follow, especially because we're receiving the federal funding, so we have to check all the boxes. So this is just for the board and council to grant the easement so that the construction can happen through this existing easement.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any questions for Max on that? There are none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, Max.
Thank you.
Being no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn.
All right, and with that, I will call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee. We have 6 items on the agenda. First up is the approval of minutes for the Finance Committee regular meeting September 20th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Second, under items, agenda items for consideration, we have the presentation of the preliminary 2020 operating budget, and I believe Jay is going to walk us through that.
I am, and you have it in your packet. Good evening, everyone. The 129 or so pages in your packet are mostly made up of the proposed budget, the 2022. You have the general fund budgets this evening, and then on Wednesday of this week, you'll receive the balance of the budget. So the other funds that are not included are all our enterprise funds or special purpose funds. Those will be included in your packet for our next Monday more detailed review. I don't plan to spend a ton of time talking about the budget proposal or the 2022 budget tonight in any lengthy presentation. I will walk through the document and a few highlights within it, and then reserve most of that conversation for next week, if that's cool. And then obviously I can answer any questions that you might have, or if there are some things that you reviewed in the time you had access to this document that you would like more clarification on before next Monday, you can assign me with that, and we can work towards that. So that meeting is scheduled for 6 p.m. next week, Monday, and we'll be encouraging all the department heads, if possible, to be in attendance and walk through a similar fashion that we did, but maybe more budget by budget, department by department, detail and share some highlights and give you access to the department heads if you have any questions specifically of them. Starting on page 5 in this document, I'll just share that our general fund unassigned fund balance went down in 2019, as we've talked about in the past with this group. Went down in 2019 because of the landfill, some expenditures that we had not anticipated. We finished the year in 2019 in the red, and then 2020 it also took a dip, so broke a trend that we had as far as gaining unassigned fund balance in 2020, and that was due to COVID and lost revenues. We do anticipate 2021 finishing solid in the black, not crazy building our fund balance again, but rebuilding it to the point where I'm convinced we'll break that trend. We were able to recoup some funds, and with some COVID dollars that came in through the federal funding, we were able to also shore up some other areas of revenues. Jumping ahead to page 6, 6 through, I think it's like 9, or just 6 and 7, shows the revenues, overall revenues for general fund and the general expenditures. And you can see that expenditure, total expenses wise, we're proposing to go up about 800,000, but taxes aren't proposed to go up. So levy wise, overall levy is going to proposed to only go up just shy of 200,000, and the rate itself, 793, that was established last year, will not be recommended to go up. So I know that's a concern on some of the aldermen's mindset and our constituents for sure regarding where the rate might fall, but we're anticipating it being right at that 793 again, as it was in 2021, proposed for 2022. We'll have that document to share with you regarding the published document that we are going to set the date in a second for the November 8th, but we have to set that now, and we keep working on the draft document. We'll have that for you for the 11th when we meet. But just know that the rate is going to be recommended to hold the same, and this, even though the expenses are going up, you all know that we're able to utilize the funds that are being returned from the TID to pay back the general levy, which is a great position to be in for the city of West Bend. Maybe I could pause there if there are any general questions about that. I'm not going to go through budget by budget tonight, but we'll skip ahead to the end where it looks at the pluses and minuses, the adjustments that Carrie and I made to the budget before presenting it to you. Are there any questions at this time? As scrolling to the end, I see some yellow highlights that are in your document. One of them came in. Those are items that we're still not sure the number as of yet. Computer aid came in exactly, that's one that's highlighted, came in exactly as it was for 2021, for 2022 again. We anticipated that, used the same number, but highlighted it because we didn't know. That came in the last business day. The same. So fast forward in your document, your screen, to the end of the budget document. Page, I guess it's not the end of the document. 120. Page 124 it's the document number, page 120 or 124 on your screen. And this shows the changes. I know this was discussed. We have shared this in the past, but now it's a requirement through GFOA to be part of our budget book. And the council has had this conversation about what adjustments, and being very transparent with the adjustments that departments, from what they request to what I recommend in the budget. And that's what this document is, very detailing for you in the next few pages. So you can, and I'll just buzz through them quick. Administration, it shows a $5,000 deduction from what was requested, and that's with the anticipation of receiving another deer management grant from the state. Human resources, it shows going down 91,000 from what was requested, and that's with anticipation of some savings in our health insurance area for family savings plan, and then also reduced health insurance costs based on some anticipation of employees moving to a new health savings account insurance plan versus the traditional PPO plan that we have at this time. Assessor shows a deduct of $10,000, some consultant fees. The way that they have hired consultants in the past have now transitioned into, and you might have had that as a question, why are we increasing part-time employment in the assessor's office? We're really not. We're just handling it different. We're not required to contract with this individual anymore. We put them on the payroll, so to speak, as a part-time employee, and so we're reducing the contracted fees in order to pay for that. Police chief had a $12,500 savings, and then you can see some that go the other way. So through the budget process, and one of the results of a conversation here in the council chambers is under building inspection, again on page 124, that shows a increase of $20,000 for the possibility of raising some buildings. That was requested by them for the 2021 budget. They did not make that request in the 2022 budget request. That's why it doesn't show up over on the left. However, with some conversations again and listening to the council, thought it be prudent to add that $20,000 back into the budget. The $50,000 add in public works came as a result of the capital improvement plan discussion. Doug, and we had this chat at the last meeting. Doug, as you know, has a glut of vehicles that are scheduled for replacement at this time. We've been hopeful to be in this position where we can, similar to police cars, or where we know we have an annual expense, be able to add them to our annual operating budget. So this $50,000 reflects a 5-year payment for a loader, a lease payment. In the past, it would have been a $260,000, I guess $40,000 something odd dollar request in the CIP. Because we're able to add it to the operating budget, it was spared from the CIP and a piece of equipment that is proposed to be knocked out in 2022. Sanitary landfill, those numbers have gone up significantly over time. With our landfill, we're confident that we can lower them a bit to get down to that $20,000 request. There's still $80,000 that we're spending on landfill engineering and reporting. So it's not like it's insignificant. It just is, we're confident that we can go down a bit. And then in engineering, know that this engineering amount does include the engineering technician position, and the reductions are listed for you there. The biggest one is a $10,000 deduct down to a, quite frankly, our best guess. Max had requested $30,000 for the safety commission items that need study. We're thinking more like $20,000. We don't really know what that number is going to come in at, but we did reduce the recommended budget down from 30 to 20. Contingency has a sizable increase. That $179,000. It shows up as an add to the budget because a department didn't request it. I could have requested it, Carrie could have requested it at $250,000, and then we could have come in today and said, hey, look at this, we lowered it down to $179,000. Chose to not do that, and it shows up as a $179,000 add to the budget. Last year we had ended up at a $61,000 contingency. This year proposing a more sizable increase. And that's really the end of the changes. The requests, you can see that we're there at $25,693,000, and then the recommended budget before you, general fund wise, at $25,780,000. Again, more detail to come with the enterprise funds and special purpose and all of the other page items that are going to be backup material for which you receive on Wednesday. Questions that you have at this time?
Alderman Allen?
Yeah, we're not obligated to, I mean, you don't feel like you have to go out and spend all the contingency. That's like the safety amount you keep in the checkbook, right?
That's correct.
Any other questions for Jay? All right. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks.
All right. Next on the agenda is scheduling the date and time for the public hearing regarding the 2022 operating budget. Is that usually what we handle the November 8th? Okay.
Motion to approve the public meeting for November 8th.
All right. Any questions or issues with the November 8th date? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you. Next up, we have a resolution to accept donations to the Parks and Rec and Forestry Department, and Mike is here to tell us about that.
Thank you. This evening, we have a very impressive list of donations that will help support a wide range of community improvement projects. The first 4 donations will support the renovation to the Regner Park Beach House. These donations include $15,000 from National Exchange Bank, $50,000 from Robert Ramsthal and Beth Ann Ramsthal, $2,500 from Glacial Hills Credit Union, $2,500 from Walmart Corporation. The following 2 donations are as beach bums and sponsors in the $1,000 sponsorship for the Beach House project. Those bums include Jim White and Leanne and Paul Becht. The next donation of $7,500 was donated by Horicon Bank for the 2021 July 4th fireworks at Riverside Park, and it was a very nice display. Thank you. The next donation of $825 was donated by Mike Hartwell for the All Abilities Playground. The next donation of $800 was donated by Roseanne Mosh for the All Abilities Playground. The next donation of $4,150 was donated by various citizens for the All Abilities Playground. Around a large portion of the playground, we're going to have a fencing around the playground to kind of keep the kids, in and around the playground, things like that, away from the parking lot. And people can purchase fence pickets, $50 a piece to, they can put their family name on it, things like that. So the $4,150 here is by selling fence pickets. It's been very, very popular. We're hoping to get some of those in-house and have a little display here at the office so we can help support that drive. The next donation of $773.78 was donated by various citizens for the support of the All Abilities Playground. The parent group does different fundraisers and things like that, and a lot of it's smaller donations, and then they just consolidated those donations into that dollar amount. The next donation of $300 was donated by the West Bend Disc Golf Club for the Riverside Park Disc Golf Course. The next donation of $784 was donated by Mike Hartwell again for the West Bend Special Olympics. The next donation of $2,000 was donated by the West Bend Nitro Fast Pitch Program for the new scoreboard at Doc Honoring Athletic Complex at Quas Creek Park. The next donation of $942 is donated by the West Bend Friends of Parks and Recreation for our Youth Flag Football League. And the last, but certainly not final donation, it's a pretty cool donation, valued at $250 for a picnic table for the Lac La Rang Conservancy. This table was constructed and donated by Sarah Birkin, a Girl Scout with Troop 6249. Sarah and her dad did a nice job. They built a table with some portable chairs, movable chairs, things like that is in the classroom right now at the Conservancy and is being used by some of our programs and the homeschool groups that use that classroom throughout the fall and winter. So we are very fortunate to have such tremendous support for a wide range of projects and recreational programs. Thank you to the individuals and organizations. It's just an impressive list again this evening that we are receiving support like this from our community. So thank you to all.
Yes.
That's an incredible list. Motion to approve.
Second.
Yes, thank you, Mike. We have a motion and a second from a lot of generous community members for sure. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Next on the list, we have Mike again to discuss the resolution authorizing the transfer of park and trust park fees for the Regner Park Beach project house renovations.
Thank you. This evening, our department is requesting permission to transfer $300,000 of park trust fees to an expenditure account to support the Regner Park Beach House renovation project. As of June 30th of this year, there was $491,457 in the Park Trust Park Fees account. This last Thursday, the Park and Recreation Commission unanimously supported the use of these fees for this project. When we look at the dollar amount, the $300,000 amount, obviously we looked at the beach house project and the new amenities, like we talked about earlier with the multi-purpose room and things like that, how we can use those funds accurately. So that's where the $300,000 mark kind of came to. Other pending projects for those impact fees are Phase 3 Riverwalk development downtown and Phase 4 Riverwalk development for the areas, some of the areas north of Washington Street. Again, for those Riverwalk projects, we can only allocate those funds of the new amenities, things like that. In the, I'll say early of 2022, when the district development comes online, the brewery development, we also will see a large increase in those park impact fees at that point in time because of that development. So to utilize the $300,000 in impact fees out of $491,000 that's available at this point in time is a large impact. Estimates for the Phase 3, Phase 4 right now, again, these are just estimates. Phase 3 Riverwalk, we would look at about $180,000 of impact fees. Phase 4, we would look at $215,000 worth of impact fees. Again, those are just estimates. We are hoping in the next couple of weeks that we will have confirmed numbers for that. Two other pending projects that would impact or utilize fees like this would be the All Abilities Playground and the possibility of future development out at Parkside O, which is a park property located to the west of the ice arena. And again, with that property, Parkside O, we would not look at this point in time, constructing a large community park, but some bike trails, some walking trails, and possibly a small playground to facilitate our park and open space plan and our commitment to that end of the city. Those are projects, those two projects, especially Parkside O, is kind of down the road a little bit, but when we're talking $300,000 in impact fees and how things are going to kind of lay out here, we better look down the road to see how these fees are being utilized. So at this point in time, we are requesting that transfer of $300,000 to support the beach house project. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions for Mike? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, last on our agenda here for the evening of finance, we have Chief Kudek here to tell us about accepting donations to the West Bend Fire Department.
Yes, you have before you a request to accept a donation from Mr. and Mrs. Matthew DeLong in honor of the sacrifices made by all on September 11th, 2001. You see the donation in front of you along with the accounts that we're requesting they go in, and this will help offset our flag display that we had at Station 1 during the 9/11 week.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for their generous donation. All right. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting of the Finance Committee.
Thanks so much. And with that, good evening once again. I'll reconvene the Common Council meeting. We are on item number 3, review proposed automatic redistricting ward plan for the city of West Bend. Mark is back. We sent him back to the drawing board, made things more confusing for him. He came back to us with 3 different maps now. So I'll let you review those and we can ask questions of Mark.
That's
Thanks.
fine. They're not confusing. One of those is the one you saw last time. It's aptly entitled the initial plan. So everything that's under the initial plan is what you had been given in the previous council meeting for consideration. You expressed some concerns regarding that. We ended up doing, as staff, developing 2 alternates. Alternate Plan 1, which was was originally developed by the city staff, and then updated after the last council meeting to try to address a few concerns, and then Alternate Plan 2, which came out of some of the comments made and a request by Alderman Allen to look at a couple of alternative boundaries for his and Alderman Dolnick's districts. Let me first, some housekeeping. All 3 of these plans meet all of the statutory requirements for both ward and districts as we go forward. What you're being asked to tonight is to ultimately approve a resolution that identifies the specific wards and their boundaries, not the aldermanic districts, but because the districts are a byproduct of those ward distributions, we wanted you to be able to see the finished products as we were going forward here, or at least as close as we can get at this time. The the initial plan, as we represented to you last time, was numerically one of the better plans. It had a total spread in population against the target values for each aldermanic district of only 4.86%. Under 10% is the acceptable range in Wisconsin. The alternate plan 1 and alternate plan 2 that are before you, those have exactly the same numerical distribution. They're at 6.77% of spread. Again, acceptable, but they do have other categorizations that serve better purpose than the initial plan, in that they better recognize some of the historical boundaries. Both alternate 1 and alternate 2 correct what was pointed out at the last meeting is a improper division of the Barton district area. And this addresses that. In order to do it, it adjusts in other places, and I won't go into the specifics, but alternate plan 1, in staff's opinion, offered a very as close to return to the basics, but still having the most compact and historically true districts, with the exception of one area for Alderman Allen. And he asked us to look at that. We derived alternate plan 2 to add in the area south of Washington and west of Indiana Avenue back into his district. Unfortunately, because of block sizes, supervisory district boundaries, and the rest, the only way we could do that is to add on a long finger projection that extends along the south side of River Road, or I'm sorry, south side of the Milwaukee River up to River Road north of Kilbourne. You'll see a very long finger projection. So it's somewhat contrary to the historical pattern that used to be the northern boundary of Aldermanic District 5. So with that, as I pointed out previously, all three of these numerically work. All three meet all the regulatory requirements. It's just a judgment decision on your part on which ones you want to go through. And if you want us to put up anything, we'll be happy to do so. If you have any questions on specifics, why something couldn't be done, Mark Stram, our GIS analyst, is here to help me, as well as the city clerk, who helped develop all of this. So with that, I'll turn it back to you. Again, I should point out, the end product of tonight is a resolution accepting one of these three ward plans, and those are the black and white ones elsewhere in your package. But those board plans are derived from these three alternates. You select one, and we can go from there, or we can. Well, we really don't have much more time to change a heck of a lot more, so we'd ask you to select one, please.
In the hopes of making this maybe a little bit easier, Steph, do you mind if I call you out a little bit? Because I believe you had a question about alternate plan 2, just from a ballot amount concern, right?
Can I ask why you're getting involved in this process?
Because I'm leading the discussion. That's
well, yeah, but you're being the discussion. Shouldn't this be a discussion amongst the alder people?
She's asking her for information. Obviously, she's the clerk. She plays a part in this.
all right. Well, I'm going to ask that. Steph, go ahead.
Okay. I would just like to talk about routine voting activities. The initial plan when we brought forward to you did not move any polling locations. And at that time, you had 12 ballot styles. So just to clarify what a ballot style is it'll only happen during your local elections, during the February and April elections, is because you have your aldermanic districts, are 8 of them, your supervisory districts, you have 5. These are nonpartisan races. So this is when you have your ballot styles. This is where you cause confusion with the voters. My office and my staff were perfectly happy to take on whatever plan you want to adopt tonight. That's our job. We don't care. But my concern is voter confusion. When you have different ballot styles, for instance, when you have, I'll just start with the first one. So the first one you had the 12, which is the lowest that we can get. With alternate plan number 1, where we just go south of Highway 33 with District 6. This changes the voting location, because now you take District 5's voting location became part of District 6. So District 5 voters have to find a new polling location. This changes routine voting activities with the alternate plan. With alternate plan 2, you change the voting location for District 5, and also you're adding another ballot style. So right south of 33, District 5 voters that used to go to PAC will now have to go to Washington County Courthouse. Right below that, which causes a confusion because, as Mark said, it's between a River Road, and Kilbourne. The voter has to show where they vote. And it only happens when you have a new voter registration on election day. So that voter would have to go to the library, West Bend Library. And right below that is your District 5 voters. And they would have to go to a new voting location. So that's the only concern, is the routine voting activities on election day. And I say it only happens with your new voter registrations because if they're registered on election day and we print the poll books, it'll say what color ballot they should have in the poll book. So as long as the poll workers at the polls see that by their name, it'll say either, let's say for instance, District 6, you'll have blue and you'll have a red ballot. So they'll either get a blue or a red ballot, depending on it's District 6 alderman, and then like a District 3 supervisory district or a District 2 supervisory district. So depending on where they live, so the poll workers have to find on the map, because they don't have laptops and the computer capabilities at the polling locations. So they are using maps on election day. So that is why I would say if you need to correct the Barton district, alternate plan 1 would be my choice for voting, for routine voting activities. So thanks.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you, Stephanie. Motion to approve alternate 1.
Second. Okay. And actually, would we wait for 10, right, agenda item 10 to make that motion, or should we make it now?
So I think you can either by motion or consensus get to this, and then your real action is the wards that are reflected by alternate plan 1.
Okay. Well, I think I heard Kennedy and then Dolnick. And I'll open up if there's any other questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I received a number of, we're talking about taking an area that has traditionally been part of my district that identifies with being downtown, and we're saying all of a sudden they're in another district. They're still not going to vote in their district because the map has them voting at the District 5 is now voting in District 6 on any of the alternates, correct?
Except for the first one. Except for your initial plan, but yes.
I said any of the alternates.
Yeah.
So the criteria that one district, one plan versus the other makes their voting in their district easier. I guess I don't quite understand that as being a rationale.
Yep, Alderman Dolnick.
The reason I opted with number one is that I think it's logical for District 6 to come down to the river. The river makes a very easy break point between the two districts, but I'm not comfortable with what Mark described as that finger of Alderman Allen's district scooting all the way through east to River Road. I understand what he's saying about people identifying with downtown. I don't agree with that. If you're identifying with downtown doesn't mean you are downtown, but even if that is true, the trade-off is allowing that extension of his district really far to the east, and that to me doesn't appear to be logical.
Is there some combination of census blocks that could offset that 80-some people?
It's not a question of just the offsetting the people. It's the rules that we have to live with. The number of, or the population of the block that you would love to retain, basically west of Indiana, south of Washington, and east of the river, has insufficient population to be a ward by itself. However, it's bounded on the south, west, and north by supervisory district boundaries, and the ward can't cross that. And the only way it can get additional population is through that small finger of the way the census blocks are created along the river there, and so that the only one that can be added to make it have a sufficient population is that long finger to the east. So we're affixed by other boundaries in this particular area.
Thanks, Mark. Any other comments or questions?
So we're being told how to break up our wards and districts by the county supervisors. Is that correct?
Most of those rules are state statutes. You can't cross.
They go first, always?
They establish their supervisory district, correct. The rule of not being able to cross that is a state, for the ward, or have a ward cross that boundary is a state statute.
So yeah, I think you're kind of right there, Mark. Sounds like.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions? All right. So we do have a motion to accept alternate plan number 1, and we do have a second. So I'll ask for vote. All those in favor of accepting plan number 2, signify by saying aye. I'm sorry, plan number 1, signify by saying aye.
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 Yes. Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Duly noted. And that passes. So with that, I'd like to jump to the consent agenda, consenting items 4 through 9.
Second.
Thank you. Kaler and Muddle. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we'll go to agenda items for consideration number 10, resolution establishing municipal wards based on the 2020 U.S. Census. That resolution should be in your packet, and this will now be with the alternate plan number 1 being accepted.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Muddle and Kaler. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you, and that passes. And we'll move on. By the way, thanks, Mark. Thanks to the planning team. I know you guys have been working pretty hard on that, and it can be a lot, but you only have to do it every 10 years, right? All right. Now we'll move on to number 11, ordinance amending section 1.646, para 1, regarding membership of the collective bargaining committee. Is being brought back for a second read, and it passed as presented in your packet 5-3 at our last meeting. So look for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I think I heard Dolnick first, and so I'll let Alan take second. And I'll open up if there's any other comments or questions for the council. Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, and that passes. And we'll move on to Tourism Commission Services Agreement. And I believe we're going to start off with a presentation by our city attorney, Ian Proust. Ian.
Sorry. So if you recall, there was a letter that was received by the council about a year ago regarding the Tourism Commission budget and the monies we have allocated for tourism promotion within the city that are performed by city staff. This agreement is in response to that. Functionally, what this does is take what we have been doing for the last, I don't know how many years, which is essentially using all of the money that is received by the Tourism Commission for tourism promotion and creation, except for the portion of funds that are used for actually collecting the room tax and administering, and administration for the room tax commission. So outside of that, the city has traditionally used all of the funds. Sorry, my phone was interfering with the mic, I think. Traditionally used all of the funds for tourism promotion and creation. All this does is take that and sum it up into a service contract to make it more clear what the intent behind that is. We kind of identify this as a confusing point because we're paying salaries with this money. What are we doing here? This sums this up into a services contract with the Tourism Commission for the city to provide those tourism promotion and creation services. And this is Park and Rec staff, this is city television, or community television, this is Jess's time in promoting these events, but this is all, again, all time and effort that is spent to bring people into the city. I will contrast this. They changed the statutes to kind of crack down on this previously, I think 3 years ago, something like that. And the reason for that is because many communities were treating this fund as kind of the piggy bank that they could raid when they wanted to. And if you look around the state, you see a lot of places that just take 30% off the top, which is permitted under the statute, but there were places taking much more than that. So, under the statute, we could just say, thanks for the 30%, here's the rest for the Tourism Commission. That's not what we have done. We have always used it, with the intent of the law. So this is just bringing us, making it a little clearer how we're using those funds and clarifying that for, public perception, I guess, and making sure that it's clear that we're complying with the statutes.
Second.
Thank you, Kaler and Alan. Any questions or comments for Ian? Yes, sir.
We discussed this at length in the Tourism Commission, and what it does is it formalizes making more use of the city directly in terms of our own tourism promotion. So the Tourism Commission was in favor of this.
Awesome.
I'll add to that.
Thanks.
One of the other big things that I think this does versus just saying salary is this kind of provides deliverables as well. So it's, not just hiring somebody, it's providing a deliverable that we have to provide to the Tourism Commission as well.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That passes. And speaking of tourism, we're going to go to number 13, resolution to accept Wisconsin Department of Tourism Joint Effort Marketing Grant Funds. And I believe we're going to have a presentation or comment by Jess. She's looking like she doesn't know. Come on up. What do you got?
Sure, I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this. This is actually a grant that we received in 2020 from the state tourism department to support marketing efforts for the Dirty Ninja Mud Run for kids. And with COVID taking place, our event was canceled, and they were gracious enough to allow us to use it in 2021. And you can see within the resolution, we had a record-setting year. These funds really helped us expand registration, expand awareness, and we hope to continue to apply for funds like these in the future.
Awesome.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Kaler. Any questions for Jess? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thanks.
And number 14, resolution advancing funds from the sewer utility to TIF 12. And I believe, Mark, were you going to comment on this one, or Jay? Jay, yes.
Happy to. This is an advance that funds Forest Avenue. So Forest Avenue is part of TID 12. The sewer utility is advancing the funds for the construction, and then once the TID produces enough increment to pay back the sewer utility, those funds will be returned to them.
Sounds good.
Second.
Thank you, Kaler and Alan. Any questions for Jay? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And 15, 18th Avenue, Paradise to Vote, grant of temporary construction easement over existing municipal storm water easement. I believe this is the same stuff we already covered, but Max, anything else? You could have just sat back there and shook your head no.
No. Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Kaler and Dolnick. Any further questions for Max? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we'll move on to reports. First off is number 16, report by Alderman Allen or Aaron's regarding the Tourism Commission.
That'll be me.
All right, take it away.
We met last week, Tuesday. We introduced our new members, Alderman Aaron's, and returning board members, Max and myself and Jay. We were also joined by representatives from the Bend, Visit Washington County, and the Museum of Wisconsin Art. We reviewed and approved the budget, which will be part of the budget submission for enterprise funds, which we'll get next week, or actually Wednesday. We reviewed and approved the agreement that we just agreed to as a council. Thank you very much. We determined dates for the 2022 event promotion grants. The spring summer 2022 grant application is going to be available starting tomorrow on the website. The event needs to take place between April and September of 2022. The deadline to apply for the grant is December 30th. Grants will be awarded on January 18th, and post-event report is due on October 11th, 2022. We set the fall-winter 2022 grant application for to be available starting March 1st, 2022. The event needs to take place between October 1st, 2022 and March 20th or March 30th, 2023. Deadline to apply is April 29th, 2022. And it will be awarded on May 10th, 2022. Post-event report is April 26th, 2023. And we determined our meeting dates on a go-forward basis. We have meetings set for Tuesday, January 18th, Tuesday, May 10th, and at 5:30, and Tuesday, October 11th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. So we are set for a long time.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Visit West Bend.
Thank you for the detailed report. I think you knew that Alderman Berkowitz wasn't going to be here and that we just needed that detailed report from somebody. So I appreciate it.
We did a lot of work.
Awesome. Thank you to those guys who serve in that committee. We will skip over Alderman Burke's report as he is not here, and then end with a report by Alderman Kaler regarding the Park and Rec Commission. Take it away.
Park and Rec Commission met last Thursday, 9:30. Unfortunately, I was unable to be there, but I do have a report.
Thank you.
Obviously, tonight we approved the transfer of funds for the beach house project. Accepted, jeez, I can't even read my own writing. That's pretty bad. Accepted many donations. Approved the program fees for this coming year. Luminary Walk is coming up on 10/16 at Lac Loran. Pumpkin Patch Drive-Through is also coming up on October 23rd, and that'll take place on Veterans Avenue. Mike's team reported they have ground 100 stumps this fall. I would assume those are mostly ash trees are gone. And the fall programs have begun, and those include youth flag football, tiny tot tumbling, fall archery, dance class, adult women's volleyball league, fall partnership program offering music lessons and ballroom dance, and group fitness classes. And we also accepted a bike repair station for Glacier Blue Hills. Michael Day, that is his Eagle Scout project, so he will be completing that at Glacier Blue Hills. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Any questions for Alderman Kaler? And I'll open up to the council if there's any other announcements. I'll just share that I know tomorrow night we're going to have an exciting Plan Commission meeting. We'll be talking about the Barton
bid development.
So that'll be fun. So if you guys, so if nobody has anything better to do, come to that meeting. And then don't forget we do have a special meeting next Monday, 6 o'clock. Correct, Jay? 6 o'clock Monday that we'll need to be here for. Thank you. Anything else? Hearing none and having no further business for the common council, adjourned by the call of the chair. Have a good night.